What's up, Bills Mafia? Today we are celebrating a Bills legend's birthday. But before we get to that, let's get to that intro.
This is PZ Music.
Welcome to the Mafia Sports Report. I am Tommy. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell because I always forget to tell you. Well, Bills Mafia, today we are celebrating a Bills legend's birthday, and that is my man, my favorite player to wear a Bills jersey, and that is the one, the only, Eric Moulds, man. Happy 50th birthday to Eric Moulds, man. And we're going to talk about Eric Moulds today on this video because, listen, man, to all y'all Bills Mafia fans out there that just got on board with Bills Mafia, right? That are youngins, right? You don't know too much dating back before Josh Allen arrived. You're really missing out on some really good players that came through Buffalo, and this is one of them. To me, he is one of the best to do it, one of the best to do it in the NFL. I would say one of the most underrated players in the NFL, a guy that probably could have been in the Hall of Fame if he were to play somewhere else at that time. By the way, I got a great article I want to pull up here by Buffalo Fanatics, so shout out to Buffalo Fanatics for this. So we're going to read a little bit about here. So they did an article back about 3 years ago. Is Eric Moulds the best Buffalo Bills wide receiver of all time? So basically, I won't read it all, but so the first thing they're saying is Moulds developed quicker than Reed. So after 4 straight Super Bowl losses and an aging offensive attack, the Bills needed a fresh offensive weapon. And with the 24th pick in the 1996 draft, Buffalo selected Moulds, a 6'2" wide receiver from Mississippi State. All right. So basically they're saying with Keyshawn Johnson, Marvin Harrison, Moulds still showed flashes in college. His stats for the Bulldogs speak for themselves. 118 receptions, 2,022 yards, 17 touchdowns in 3 seasons. Going to the draft, Buffalo was looking at a possible replacement for Andre Reed. He appeared in only 6 games in 1995 due to a hamstring injury and was starting to decline in production. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Selling into offense, Moulds had a strong 1998 campaign. He had 1,368 yards and 9 touchdowns. According to PFF, Moulds needed only 3 seasons to become Buffalo's top offensive weapon while Reed simmered out. On the flip side, Reed struggled early in his career until his breakout season in 1989. In his 5th season, Reed had 1,312 yards and 9 touchdowns, but Reed took longer to develop because of Buffalo's new K-gun offense. But the stats do not lie here. Moulds still had the best single-season receiving yards record in franchise history. Point to Moulds. Very true, man. So now here's where it gets interesting to me, and this is the most important thing that a lot of people really don't get and understand what Moulds had to go through here, which was the quarterback inconsistencies, which is very, very true. So it's no secret Buffalo Bills struggled to find a franchise quarterback once Jim Kelly retired in 1997. But the reason I hate the debate is that Andre Reed played his career with the greatest quarterback in team history. Andre Reed and Jim Kelly were a special combination in the early 90s for the Bills. Officially, Reed recorded 10,247 yards with Jim Kelly under center for 11 consecutive seasons. This number includes games where Frank Reich started for Kelly due to injuries. But Reed was better with Kelly on the field. Reed played with 3 quarterbacks who started over 4 games in a season. Kelly, Todd Collins, and Doug Flutie. But Eric Moulds was not so lucky. He played with 8 quarterbacks who started more than 4 games. Here's the list: Jim Kelly, Collins, Flutie, Rob Johnson, Alex Van Pelt, Drew Bledsoe, J.P. Lossman, Kelly Holcomb. Granted, I could just remember watching Lossman and Holcomb duke it out for the starting job in 2005, but Moulds had to adjust with whom he caught passes from. Overall, Moulds recorded 9,096 yards from those quarterbacks. This is impressive, as Reed had about 10,000 from Jim Kelly alone. It seems like Moulds had a new quarterback under center every year, while Reed rode the coattails of Kelly. Listen, guys, I don't think you really understand. When you change your quarterback almost every other season, it is very tough for a wide receiver to adjust to that quarterback, to get a connection with that quarterback. And Eric Moulds was stuck with, unfortunately, a Bills offense that kept, or a Bills team that kept shuffling quarterbacks. And I feel for the guy. I do. But to still be consistent, put up those type of yards with different quarterbacks coming in the system every other season, every 2-3 years, is wild to me. And it shows how great Eric Moulds was for this team. So let's continue. Now, here's another one where I talk about all the time. Head coach and offensive and defensive scheme changes hurt Moulds. All right, I get it. Andre Reed is officially better on paper. There's no denying his commitment to the game. Notably, he helped lead the comeback with 3 touchdown receptions in the second half. But there was an imbalance of coaching ability for Moulds. Let us compare the two, starting with Reed. Under Marv Levy and Ted Marchibroda, the Bills developed the K-Gun offense. The style had Jim Kelly orchestrating Buffalo's offense and showed no remorse for defenses who had their hands on their hips grasping for air. In terms of personnel, Reed played under 2 head coaches, Levy and Wade Phillips, and 6 offensive coordinators. They were also consistent on the defensive side, ranking in the top 20 in 12 of its 15 seasons in Orchard Park. Back in the 90s, both sides of the ball needed to work together to get to the Super Bowl. Buffalo did for almost 5 straight years. For Moulds, it was the complete opposite. Moulds had no help in personnel. He played under 4 head coaches, Levy, Phillips, Greg Williams, and Mike Mularkey, 6 offensive coordinators as well. But in the prime of his career, from 99 to 2005, Moulds had 4 offensive coordinators. The shuffling of the offensive scheme hindered Moulds as he was not in a consistent system. Considering he had 7,155 yards in those 6 years, there should be recognition for his commitment. And unlike Reed, Moulds played alongside an inconsistent defensive unit. Buffalo defense jumped as high as 2nd in 1999 to as low as 29th in 2001. And during Moulds' prime, NFL football was the same. Both sides of the ball needed to work together to win a championship. In 2020, there's higher emphasis on putting up points and less defense. But in the early 2000s, Moulds did not have a consistency and it hindered his progression on the field. Very true. And then we're going on to playoff game difference. For those who grew up in the 2000s, we hope to avoid this conversation for years to come. But it is worth mentioning how many playoff games Moulds and Reed suited up. Reed started 21 career playoff games, recorded 1,229 yards and 9 touchdowns. His 303 career receiving yards in the Super Bowl are 3rd all-time behind Jerry Rice and Lynn Swann. His 27 receptions are 2nd all-time behind Rice's 33. These stats are astounding for a former 4th-round pick. But Moulds got the short end of the stick in the playoff appearances. In just 3 games for the Bills, he hauled in 12 receptions for 302 yards and 1 touchdown. Most of them came in a 24-17 loss to the Dolphins in 1999, where Moulds had 242 yards. The performance still stands as the record for the receiving yards in a postseason game, which is true. By the way, no one's even come close, I don't think. Despite barely testing the postseason, Moulds made the most of it in his 242-yard performance against the Dolphins in the 1999 AFC wildcard game. While Reed basked in the glory of attending 4 straight Super Bowls, Moulds could not show his breakaway speed and magician-like catches. It makes you wonder if Moulds would be a Hall of Famer if Buffalo had a playoff-caliber quarterback. We can all dream by playing Madden 2000 on our PlayStation or N64. Very true. And, we're going to stop right there on that article. So, listen, to sum it up, man, Eric Moulds, in my opinion, if Eric Moulds left Buffalo in his career early on, because he played with Buffalo for 10 seasons, at over 9,000 yards. If I really truly believe if Moulds went to a team that had a right coach in place, a right quarterback in place, Eric Moulds would have finished his career well over 15,000 yards, in my opinion. He had 10,000 total in his career, and I want to pull up some of his stats here just to show you the comparison of Bills wide receivers, all-time wide receivers on this list. So we're going to go ahead and pop this up for all you youngins that really don't understand. So right here, number one, Andre Reed, 13,095 yards. Eric Moulds, 9,096. Lee Evans, third at 5,934. And then our man, Stephon Diggs, is eighth already at 4,189. So listen. Very impressive. Nobody's even close. And for as good as Lee Evans was, he was well short of Eric Moulds. Not to mention, once again, Stephon Diggs playing with Josh Allen, probably the best quarterback in the NFL, right? One can debate that. But, Eric Moulds, once again, playing with guys like Todd Collins and, Van Pelt and, Greg Williams as head coach and Malarkey. I mean, the list goes on and on with how many terrible coaches and quarterbacks that went through Buffalo when Eric Moulds was a Bill. And once again, 10 seasons with one team that was going nowhere. In today's age, a wide receiver, matter of fact, any position, if a player's on a bad team after 3-4 seasons, right? Sometimes less, they're usually wanting out. They're usually demanding a trade, right? Or when their contract comes up, they are signing somewhere else. Look at Stephon Diggs right now, right? Stephon Diggs has gone to the playoffs ever since he's become a Buffalo Bill. But you see his frustrations, right? Because we haven't been to a Super Bowl yet. And he's been to playoffs every year, right? Eric Moulds made the playoffs twice, right? Or 3 times, I think, total. Not good. I think twice with Buffalo, and I think he went once with Houston when he was last year in the NFL. Guys, once again, man, this guy should be shown way more love by Bills Mafia. This guy should be shown way more love by the Buffalo Bills, who have yet to put him on the Wall of Fame. Very disappointing, as a Bills fan, that the Buffalo Bills organization years later have not put this man on the Wall of Fame. And I get it. You guys are going to go, what about Kyle Williams? What about Fred Jackson? I get it. Those guys eventually will have their dues. They should be on the wall in time. But Eric Moulds is way past due. Okay? The guy was a great player on the field, a great guy off the field. He's worked with the Buffalo Bills since his retirement. He's done a lot of charities. He comes out to Buffalo Bills, games, right? He does interviews, right? One Bills Drive. Like, he does a lot for the team. And it never was an issue here while he was in Buffalo. Never complained, not that I know of, right? Never demanded a trade. And he just came to work, put his hard hat on, and did his job, right? Put his helmet on, right? And did his job. That's it. It didn't matter who was behind center. It didn't matter what new offensive coordinator came to Buffalo that year or what new head coach came. He's like, all right, let's do it. You know what? What's the plan? And, you got to give him credit for that, because a lot of players, they won't do that now. I could promise you that. And just shout out to Eric Moulds for his 50th birthday today. Happy birthday, my friend. And I really hope that I see you on that Wall of Fame soon, man. At least when the new stadium opens up. hopefully they go ahead and put you up, man. But anyways, Bills Mafia, I want your opinion, man. Comment below. Bills Mafia, I always love you. And then, oh, by the way, we are going live tonight, 9 o'clock, so don't be late. All right, guys, go Bills. I'm out of here. Peace.